Today is January the 11th, 2025. My name is Tanya Finchum. I'm with Oklahoma State University with the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. I am in Stroud, Oklahoma, to interview Joe Gooch and his sister, Marion Gooch Lytle. And along with them is Marion's son, Mark, so he may chime in some too. We're here to talk a little bit about the world of Santa. That can be various things, but before we get into Santa, let's learn a little bit about each one of you. Start wherever you might like.
Ladies first, you want me to go first?
Well, you just go first.
I'll just tell you, my trade is called lithography. It's a form of printing. So this kind of thing is real valuable to me. Pieces of photographs or artwork. It just really interests me. And subjects like we're doing right now really interest me. I actually published a magazine, and this is the type of thing that my wife and I focused on.
Okay.
So that's about all I can tell you about me.
No, it isn't. Where did you go to high school?
Stroud, graduated Stroud.
And how many brothers and sisters do you have?
2 brothers and 2 sisters.
And where are you in the order?
The baby.
You're the baby.
Actually, I'm the accident. They have 4 kids. 12 years later, me.
Okay.
And you're actually 16 years younger than Billy, the Santa Claus we're working on today.
Okay.
No, I was 12 years younger than Billy.
Oh, okay.
16 years younger than you.
Okay, yeah, okay. I have to be corrected often.
That's okay.
Even though I look 20 years older than them.
So when did you graduate from high school?
67.
67. And then you went to,
Oklahoma State Tech.
okay, and did the lithography, right?
Yeah.
Do what?
And then you did the lithography. Is that, am I saying that correctly?
Yes, well,
Linotype.
no, linotype was going out.
Okay.
And lithography was the new form.
Okay.
And now the new form is digital.
When you were doing that, what was your goal? What were you planning to do?
I don't know.
Come back to Stroud or?
No, because at that time Stroud was still the old metal, hot metal. There was still, I took offset because it was the new thing coming on, lithography. And the old linotypes are all gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a thing of history. And actually, lithography that I took is now about gone because everything has gone digital. Even the printing presses is digital. So
Yes, it's a changing world, isn't it?
yes.
Okay, Marion, how about you?
Well, we lived there at Stroud. We lived 6 miles north, and we went to a country school, and I went to grade school for all 8 grades, and then I went to Stroud High School and graduated in 31, and my father died when I was a senior, and so I ended up, I was planning on going to some kind of trade school or something, but I didn't get to because we just had lots of expenses, and country farmers weren't rich people back then. They didn't, well, maybe I say that, I guess they aren't all rich nowadays either, but you think they are. And then I got a job at the dental office for a dentist, and I was like a substitute. I was not a secretary, but a helper, assistant, a dental assistant.
Okay.
And I done that for several years, and then I met my husband, and we got married. And then I worked for the telephone office though before I got married, I quit the dental office and went to work for the telephone office. And I worked there in Cushy for the telephone office for about 5 years. And then I got married.
Were they still doing the plug-ins?
Yes, they were. Then when I come back and I went back to work for them, then I had to learn the other. They'd done that in the meantime.
Okay. So you graduated from high school in
51.
51.
Yeah, I got married in 54. So I think I've got a few years in there that I talked about. I got too many years in there.
So you would have a little bit of memory of World War II?
Yes. Yes,
Things that were happening in Stroud at
yes.
that time?
Yes,
May I tell you a short memory about her being a telephone operator?
Sure.
It was a Cushing telephone line. And we had rings, like one ring-a-dingy or two ring-a-dingy, you know, the old cartoons. And when we'd pick up the phone to make a call, we would hope that we got Marion, because she would answer the
number, please. You know, and when they'd pick up the phone, it would come up on my telephone, my board above me, you know. And they would always hope it would come up on my board, I would be the one that would say, "Number, please."
So yeah, we was hoping she would say, "Number, please," or something, and we'd say, "Oh, we got Marion." You know, we want to talk to George Langley or something. And she'd plug us in to George Langley, didn't you?
Yeah.
How many workers would there be on the line?
Well, we had quite a few. Seems like we had in the 50s or 60s,
Wow.
you know, girls that was sitting there. And in the summertime, I remember a couple of years I know of that it would be real, real hot and we didn't have air conditioning. And they would get great big tubs, 10 tubs or something, you know, and put ice in them and put the fans behind them to keep us from passing out. It was really hot, you know, in the building.
Was that
But
in Cushing?
no air conditioning at all, you know, and not a lot of windows. And so that's why they kept us cool, kept us at work.
Was it still party lines at that point too?
Yes.
Some
Yeah,
anyway.
it was
I remember party lines.
Yeah.
And eavesdropping, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of eavesdrop on people. Know what your neighbors are doing.
So if your dad, what year did your dad die then?
He died in 50. He died in 50.
So you would have just been really young.
I was
really,
born in 48,
Yeah,
so
he was
I
really
never knew him.
Yeah, he was born a couple of years before that. That'd be right, 48 or 52, be 48.
Was he a farmer?
Yes, he was a farmer, and he had been a World War I veteran. He was a World War I veteran,
Okay.
and I don't remember what he'd be now, but he was born in 97, wasn't he? 1897.
Yeah, I think so.
He was
My
born
mom
in
was born in
1897.
1906.
And
Before statehood.
yeah.
Were they born in the Stroud in the Oklahoma area, or at least?
They didn't know one another anyway. I know they were born in different counties, quite a ways from one another. But they're on the, I guess she got acquainted with him when they moved into. My grandfather, they moved a lot when my mother was little, and they always said he wasn't a very good farmer, so he always had to get. I had to tell it, and he always had to get another move, you know, to get another farm so he could make money. And
talking about our grandpa.
yeah. But our daddy was a real good farmer. He lived on the same land for a long time, for years, until he died. He moved there when they got married, and he died there.
What did he farm?
Grain.
They call it high gear, but high gear is a form of with the stalk. I can't.
Wheat or corn or Milo?
Capricorn.
Milo or Capricorn.
Okay, Capricorn.
That was that was the main crop that all the farmers around here that did at that time.
Well, I really believe the main one was when I was a kid, that was 16 years before that, was cotton. And
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Cotton
picked
fields.
cotton and chopped cotton all of my years in school. And they would go ahead and pay us, and Daddy, they would, and we'd buy school clothes. We always had to buy school clothes. But yeah, I picked a lot of cotton.
And guess what she was doing when she wasn't picking cotton? Babysitting me.
That was years later, yeah.
When she was 16 and I was 1.
Yeah.
Well, would they let school out for you to pick cotton?
Yes, we always got out a couple, 3 weeks, seems like, sometime or other, during cotton picking time. And then when school should be out, we had to make it up. We had to go longer, so nobody liked to get out that they wanted to go ahead and go to school. And of course, they wouldn't have to pick cotton either, but yeah, we got out.
What was the name of the grades, the school you went to that was 1 through 8?
Pleasant Mound.
Was it a 1 room or 2 room?
It was one room. It
One
was
room with a stage.
Yeah, it had a stage up the front, and it was a big room, and we had as many as in the 20s, I believe, times. But now when it went out. Me and all 4 of my siblings, older siblings, without Joe, went there and graduated. But Joe just went there 1 year.
2 years.
2 years, and then they annexed.
Closed
Well, the governor closed them, and the state closed all the country schools because they didn't have enough revenue, I don't think, to
pay all the teachers.
pay all the teachers.
Consolidation,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And then he had to go to Stroud.
Y'all tell me, but seemed like there was a 4-mile limit. They used to have an old country school every 4 miles.
Yeah.
And the reason
I've
they
heard that.
created that was because a lot of the kids walked to school.
Yeah, you had to walk. And we did. We lived almost to the mile section of 99 highway, and we had to walk a mile. Well, we didn't have to walk that little dab there, but it would be a mile.
Regardless
We
of
were
weather.
Regardless of weather.
And
okay.
I remember, now Billy, he was the youngest of us 4, and when it comes snow time and cold weather and bad weather, they didn't close schools like they do now. We had to go to school, and so my daddy would have to hook up the horse and wagon, and so Billy and all of us had to ride the horse and wagon to school, and he'd come and get us.
And would you have to pack?
And I remember that, but now I don't think Billy probably remembers it. He was one of the, maybe a first grader or something.
Would you have to pack your lunch, or was it?
Well, we packed it several years, but then we had a cafeteria. Well, not a cafeteria. We had an old house moved in, and they put a cooker in there, and we cooked.
Is the school building still there?
Yes.
Yes,
Still there?
it's still
Yes,
there.
it's still there. And I had a Christmas present given to me this year. We went in and got to visit the old school. And so we went in and took pictures, and we took pictures outside. And my friend at school saw an ad on the internet that you could send the pictures, and they would do it a puzzle. So they done the puzzle of the school and all the outings and give it to me for Christmas. And I just cried.
I would
It
have
is
too,
so
probably.
pretty. It's just made such a good picture. And we just love it.
How many were in your grade? Just you by yourself?
I was most of the time all by myself.
By yourself.
There was
There's only 2 in my grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was probably the minimum number.
And in the wintertime, in the summertime, the farmers would cut wood and make enough wood. We didn't have electricity. And they cut wood and stacked it outside, and then the kids would carry it in for the teacher. And
That was our heat.
we carried, that was the heat. And Billy, the Santa Claus, he'd like to do that real well, you know. Well, most of the little ones, I guess I did, but he would get real frustrated if he didn't get to carry her wood in.
Earn some extra credit, huh?
Yeah.
Well, then when you went to high school, would buses pick you up at that point?
Yes, we
Okay.
walked to the highway there, and they would pick us up and take us to Stroud to the school, and then they'd bring us home.
So when your dad passed away, how did your mom manage to raise the four of you?
Well, it wasn't easy.
That was about 1950. He passed away.
Yeah, and
51.
yeah, 50. He died in November 24th, 1950. And, well, she just had she was really upset. It really scared her, and she done a lot of moaning and carrying on, you know. I don't mean moaning, I mean...
Sorrow.
Yeah, and she just couldn't hardly live without him, she didn't think. But, like I've heard Joe tell so many times that the next morning after he didn't die till like in the night, and he'd had a real bad, massive heart attack or stroke. Yeah, massive stroke. And when he got to the next morning, the first one that was on our four-step was a
Lawyer
neighbor. No, I can't think of his name. Gerald Coward.
No, Mr. Coward.
Yeah, he was the first one and he hadn't been in the neighborhood too long, but he liked my father real well and hadn't got acquainted with everybody. I don't think he was new. And he said, "What can I do for you, Miss Gooch?" You know, that was the first thing. And the neighbors just all come in and got our crops in. We still had crops. It was in November, and they had whatever it is. It's still
They
in the
called
field.
it high gear,
Yeah.
but what actually is high gear? I mean, it's a
Like looks like corn's grain.
yeah
Grain.
Milo. I think.
Milo.
And so anyway, they got that, and they done thrashing. I think maybe that was before he died, but anyway, they really helped us, and then I think she kind of got better on her feet and thinking more about she had what her responsibility was, and yeah, she already had Joe then.
Yeah, that was probably their biggest responsibility.
And what is it you always say about the mothers? You had
I was the accident.
well, no, but you said that a while ago. You said you had three mothers.
Oh yeah.
I have a sister that's just 2 years older than me, and so she was anxious to get to take care of her when we knew we was going to have a baby brother or sister. We didn't know at that time which it would be, and so we just couldn't wait till she bring him home. So we both mothered him, tried to smother her out, didn't we?
Yeah, well, Virginia would have been 10 and you was about 8.
Yeah.
So they were
No,
mom's
older than
babysitter.
I was a
Does
senior
that make
in high
sense?
school. Yeah, I was a senior in high school and she was out of school.
So, and then you got married how much later?
Well, it was 4 years probably.
Okay, so
maybe
not
6.
right out of high school.
Yeah,
then.
no.
So you still helped a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. Yeah, and then I moved, when I went to work at the telephone office, I went to work for the telephone office. And then I got a room in town. And so I would come home on weekends and take her to the grocery store. And she didn't have any finances. Only thing she had, my daddy was, like I said, a World War I veteran, and he drawed a little pension of $70, and that's what she had to live on. And so it took us kids to help her, you know, to make it over the hump until she was able to get Joe in school. Well, Billy, he was the youngest of us 4. He graduated from high school, and then the next year Joe started the first grade. Or kindergarten. That's first grade.
Oh.
You didn't go to kindergarten.
12-year difference.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
So she
And then
never,
she-
she didn't remarry.
No. And then she got a job, though, because he was out of school, and so she
Yeah,
went to
you
work like a cook in a grocery store, in the restaurant there, and different things.
School cafeteria.
Yeah, she went to work for the school. The superintendent called her and said, we have a job opening. Would you like to have it? She said, sure, I would.
Yeah.
And
Well, what was Christmases like during your childhood then? Before your dad passed and after?
We were blessed. And we didn't have much of nothing. Mom didn't have any money to spend, but we had wonderful neighbors that would give.
and relatives.
And relatives. The other farmers around us and the relatives took care of us because Virginia was already,
She was out of high
she
school.
was married and
Gotcha.
out of high school and had a child.
No, she didn't. She was expecting when Daddy
Okay.
died, though.
Okay, and then you were
I was working at the telephone office. And
Yeah.
I had a good job.
Yeah. So it was just me and my two older brothers, but one brother was 12 years older than me and the other was 14 years older than me.
Yeah, and you were a baby.
So there were
And-
5 of you.
Yeah.
And
Two of
they,
Yeah, well, 2 of us had left home, but she was still raising the 2 boys in high school and Joe as a baby.
Well, would you have a Christmas tree?
yeah,
Yeah.
my two older brothers, Kenneth and Billy, when they were at home, they seen that Mom had what she needed and they see what I needed. They said, if you want to go out and play baseball, we'll come and get you and take you to practice. Those 2 older brothers were there when Dad died. Am I right?
Yes, you're right. They were little at that when you were first born, but you're talking after you got up in high school and
Yeah.
you was in FFA and you liked to play ball and they
Yeah.
would see to it, that
The 2 older brothers saw that I got to do everything, and so did Virginia and you.
yeah, we helped too, but not.
So when you got into trouble,
and that was
who
all.
took care of that part?
I would be a lot better person if I'd had a few spankings.
We could all probably say that though.
Well, being a baby
Yeah.
and everybody's 12, 14, 16, 18 years older than me, nobody spanked me,
You didn't.
and I deserved them.
And he was probably maybe 4 years old when we used to go to the dime store someplace. I would take Mother, and I had my little boy, and he would be a baby, and I'd want to buy something for him. Well, he would cry if I didn't buy him something too.
Yeah, if she bought her kid something, by George, I better get something.
Oh dear! But
Well, what's your earliest memory of a Santa Claus though? When you were, little guys.
My earliest, the country schools, nearly all of them had what they called pie suppers about November, and everybody, the girls, the ladies and girls would bring a pie, a boxed meal, and they'd have an auctioneer, and he'd auctioneer the pie box off, and they would have to eat with him then. So they always would pick somebody to put somebody that was real bad with, or they'd take, and they'd run it up real high. But anyway, and this was for Christmas, because then at Christmas time, probably the one that was on the county board or something, the school board, would buy treats and for the kids, and they would all get together, the school board, and fill the sacks full of candy and oranges and apples and stuff, And then Aunt Bertha would put on a big, my aunt was my teacher, and I keep saying Aunt Bertha. The teacher would put on a program that would be real nice too. She was real good at doing that, and she'd always put on a big program. They'd have a program, and then people would bring presents for their kids if they wanted to, and they would pass them out. And
the pie suppers was just a huge get together with all families, and it was fun. They would try to figure out. Farmer Joe would know Farmer Bill's
daughter or something.
package, and he'd run it up.
Yeah.
He'd make him pay
Yeah.
$20 for it instead of $3
Yeah.
for it.
It
And
was
they'd run
just-
each other up, but they didn't care because that money went to the school.
Yeah, and it was just a good time, you know.
Yeah,
and
it was a fun
that's
time.
kind of my first of Christmas, but it seemed like there was more colds and sickness then than there were now. It seemed like there would always be a lot of people sick and wouldn't get to come. When kids would be out of school, it was in the program, you know.
Mhm.
And that's what I kind of remember about Christmas. It brings Christmas to mind when I think of that because,
Well, would a Santa come in then?
yes, Santa would come in.
Goodies
They always
or
have
whatever.
someone to dress up and he'd give them their sack of candy, you know.
Okay.
And that's what I remember about my first Christmas, I believe.
Well, was church a part of? Growing
Not
up or
then,
not
it was
then?
just a school. That was just school
Okay.
alone.
Okay.
Can't believe it was.
Okay.
And
And the farmers didn't care what if one guy
At that
would run the other one up because what they were doing was donating money to the school
yeah,
to buy books and to pay the teacher and everything.
and well, maybe.
It was fun.
Well, on the farm, did you have a chore?
Do what now?
Did you have a chore when you
Yeah,
were
I
on?
had to milk cows, and,
Yeah, to
and
milk.
I even had to after I started high school. I'd have to get out when the cows were fresh. Whenever they were milking, I'd have to milk a cow or two before I'd go to school.
You got out of that part.
Yeah,
didn't
you got out
you?
of that part.
No, I milk cows.
you milked
I
the
milk.
one that mother would have. She had one.
We always had one
Yeah,
cow
yeah,
for milk.
mother always.
The first one was a Jersey, and I don't know what happened to her. And then we had a Guernsey cow that I used to milk.
Yeah, and mother always tried to act like a farmer herself, so she always kept a few cattle and
Well-
done a little farming herself.
Yeah.
It was history, and not history, but necessity kind of.
Yeah. Well, my daddy was a good farmer, and we always had lots to eat. We may not had money, but we always had lots to eat. I can remember Daddy would always put in a truck farm, you know, nearly what you'd call it. It'd be so big it would be, and we just canned food, and we just had food galore. And he always growed watermelons, and we just always had lots to eat. He'd always promise us that in the cotton field, if we'd pick so much weight, you know, we'd have a ice cream party when we'd get home.
Yeah, and all the farmers that had watermelon patches, they had to keep an eye on it
Yeah.
because as young kids like us, they go out there and bust them and eat them.
Yeah. So we had lots of fun.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Just ornery.
Well, then we've talked a little bit about you at that age. What was Billy like at that age? At younger years.
He was always
Shy.
shy. Yeah, he was always kind of shy. And Joe always looked up to him. He always wanted to be just like him. And I always said there was a threesome. You know, they couldn't do anything without him. He was always following them.
Yeah.
And
And,
so mother had lots of help taking raising him.
you know, Billy and Kenneth, both my older brothers, one 12 and one 14 years older than me. Anything I wanted, let's see, you want to play baseball? You want to be on the baseball team? We'll drive you back and forth.
Well, which one of them taught you to drive? Did either one of them?
I don't know. Both of them, I think.
Yeah, probably.
It's kind of equal.
Maybe, and mother probably had a hand in it too.
Yeah. She let me learn to
You all
drive.
drove to school from Stroud. They were driving. She went to work, and so he'd drive. He could go to school at the same time
So
from the country.
he was born in 36, so he would have graduated from high school in
What,
Who?
you 48, wasn't it, when you
No.
graduated?
I was born in
No.
48.
Oh, he's born in
Billy.
Yeah, he was born in 36.
So he would have graduated from high school in
I don't know.
40.
Let's see, we graduated every other year, and I graduated in 51, so 53, he probably graduated in 55.
55. Okay, around in there.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I think somehow he got a, I don't know what you would call it. What do you call it when you grant, kind of a
Right.
school grant. I don't know how he got it.
I might have been his hearing.
Well, but
I know he did late. He did.
then when I went, I got one too.
Yeah.
And it was because Mom's
But probably
income,
low income.
Low
yeah,
income.
Probably low
We got-
income.
a lot of our schooling paid for.
So where did he go? I mean, you went to Okmulgee. Where did Billy go to?
He went there too.
Yeah,
You
that
got
was one reason.
That's
Joe
why I
wanted-
went there.
Okay.
But he took the old metal.
Well, when he started,
time
yeah,
printing.
when he started to school, he couldn't talk plain, and Mother and Daddy, I guess, just ignored it and didn't really realize he wasn't. Just thought for growing up, I suppose. I don't know what they thought, and when he started school, Aunt Bertha was concerned because he wasn't a good student. You know, he wasn't making good grades. And so she told Mother and Daddy, she said, you got to do something about him not talking plain. I don't believe he's hearing good or something, you know, and you need to take him to the doctor. So that she was after him a while, and they finally took him to the doctor, knowing that they probably couldn't pay for anything. And they said, the doctor said, yes, he's got to have his tonsils took out. Said he can't hear. He said he's saying the word just like he hears it, you know. And so then they had to send him to the university in Oklahoma City to get his tonsils took out, and then his hearing got better. But I think that is the way he got to go to Okmulgee, and then Joe got to go too. I don't know why Joe got to go because his hearing was good.
I got
But I guess it's probably low
a
income or
little
something.
bit of a grant.
They knew that they were brothers, and so they.
But if there's anything at all you put in this story, I want you to put emphasis on 2 sisters and 2 brothers raising me. Anything I needed, they were there. All 4 of them. So, but they realized that I'd lost my dad at 2, and Billy and Kenneth would fill in, and Virginia and Marion, if I needed, she'd go give me a new pair of jeans. Oh, I couldn't tell you how many pair of jeans she bought me.
Yeah.
But they took care of me.
Well, that goes back to good parents too.
Yes,
That
yes.
too. That strong
I
bond.
never knew my dad. He died when I was 2.
You don't remember him. Yeah. But
So,
my mother don't want to take any credit for her. She was a good mother toward Joe.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't depend on us kids, you know.
Yeah.
And she would get like we would be sitting in doctor's office, maybe waiting, and somebody'd say, "Oh, Miss Gooch, your grandson is so cute," and oh, she just gets fired.
My mom didn't like it.
He's not my grandson, he's my son. And she didn't let us take care of him to neglect her. We just helped him.
so then once Billy graduated from Okmulgee, what did he do? Did he come back to
He
Stroud
got
too?
married.
He got married. Okay.
He came back to Stroud.
Yeah.
That's what they called at that time a linotype operator. A linotype operator was this great big machine that had hot metal in it, and it would make a mold of the letters, and then they'd put it in a form and run the paper across it.
Okay.
That's the old letterpress. But in 1967, my brother Billy said, "You don't take letterpress. It's going out," which was offset, which is actually taking a picture of the print.
Okay.
So, and he encouraged me to take that.
So he was in the newspaper business, publishing, printing business too then?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Both of us.
And then he ended up in Colorado with what's the name of that company he worked for there in Oklahoma City newspaper.
Gaylord.
At Gaylord. He ended up working for Gaylord.
The
Colorado
Oklahoma City
Springs.
newspaper used to be owned by something
Gaylord.
initials.
Yeah, Gaylord.
E.K. Gaylord. And
And he worked for them several years, and that's when started playing Santa Claus. He hadn't retired yet.
Yeah, I think they owned the Colorado Springs newspaper too.
Yeah, I think so
That's
too.
why Billy went up there.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
got married before he went though.
Yes. This was years later. Yeah. It
And
was
that
quite-
was Alma.
Alma Lee was his wife's name. Yeah, Emily White.
Had she gone to school? with-
Yeah, she went to school, but she was quite a bit younger than him. I don't think they ever went to school together.
Okay.
No, they didn't.
No, she's.
Had he played Santa before he went to Colorado? Do you
No,
know?
I don't think he had before, but
He
he did.
didn't.
He did play before he went professionally. He played for hotel. I forget what the name of it was, but a hotel there in Colorado Springs. It was big, and I remember saying that he was sitting in the window, and people could see him when they go by. But anyway, he played, took their pictures, or they took some. They had somebody taking the pictures, just like you would in any other.
Was he great? Did he have the great
Yes, but
beard at that
as you
point?
see in this one of these pictures, his beard and hair especially wasn't all gray. You know, it turned. This is a new, early picture.
Okay.
Uh,
Salt and pepper a little
He's
bit.
got gray later. Because he's gray here. And,
I would like to say he was a great and a very good Santa Claus, but he was pushed and trained by his wife. She said, "Dude, don't touch the kids like this. Don't touch them. Hold them like this. You know, say this, to say that." And he did it.
and
But she was a big part of his being a Santa.
and they wanted to go professionally. They wanted to be a professional Santa Claus. And in order to do that, they needed to have white gloves and they needed their own beard. They couldn't use
You had to
false
have be
fake
natural.
beard. You can't play professionally with a fake beard. And several other things. I don't remember what they all were. And so she pushed him into this where there was money in it. You know, more money in it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they just kind of donate what they want to give you, you know,
Yeah,
what they make or something.
It was
But
a side gig for
professionally-
a while
Yeah,
it went to a big business.
after.
And
Okay.
some of them were so good and so professional, the malls would even up the salaries.
yeah,
And the salaries, I think, just kept going
yeah,
up.
they get a raise every year.
Well, it looks. I mean, they all wore the same red.
Yeah, now that's this natural. What's this Santa's name in Oklahoma City? He played for first.
It's called Naturally Santa Incorporated.
That's what Billy's
That's what Billy's
Yeah,
was.
but the one he played for first was. Do you remember what John's Santa who he played for in Oklahoma City? Just natural. It seemed like it was natural Santa too, but I suppose it would be because they were natural service, and he played for them, but they furnished the Santa Claus suit, and they liked for him. They didn't insist, I don't think, but they liked for him to wear the big shirts. They're kind of like nightshirt, you know, and they would be colorful and Santa Claus things represent Santa Claus. And
Striped socks.
yeah, and they wanted the red suspenders, and they always had the pole that sat at the chair, and they'd take their coat off, and hang it up there when they'd come to work, and then they would sit like this.
They did their photo shoot or whatever
Yeah,
without the coat on.
Yeah, most of the time they would, but they would ask sometimes, "Would you rather I put on my suit?" You know, my coat, would you rather? And some of them would, but most of them they found out didn't want this red coat. They wanted these, and so they just got where they just wore that and didn't even ask.
And I'm assuming, you know more than I do, but I'm assuming that each mall manager had different opinions. Like, I want your coat on, and then another
Yeah,
mall might
yeah.
say,
Yeah,
no, I prefer this look or something.
yeah. I don't think they had to wear these. I think this shirt was a choice. Yeah, I think that's right.
Well, when they trained them, did they stay in Colorado or was it around the country?
It was around the country.
Around the country.
Yeah. And Oklahoma City, kind of had a business like his, and they would hire these Santas and put them in different malls all the way around. Well, then Billy, he went out when he after he worked several years, he started doing it himself, and he called himself Natural Santas Incorporated.
Okay.
And at one time, he had 90 Santa Clauses on.
That is a business.
Yes. Now here, and they'd always, after Christmas, they'd always have a big party at some big resort. And this is 22 of them that was there. But I don't know how many he'd hired that year.
And they look so much alike.
Yeah. And I say, we can't even tell. I say, this one is Billy. And Joe says, another one is. And Joe says, well, I guarantee you this one is. And I said, I guarantee you this one.
She's wrong.
So we just don't know. But,
Let me see.
Well, how would he would he tour around the country to?
well, I think they did the malls. They would tell the malls, I can get you
by
some.
phone, or we're just getting a car and go?
I think letters and
Okay.
maybe in the car. And they traveled a lot in the summertime. That's what they used their money for, was to travel, I think.
Trying to find
And so,
new customers.
yeah, so they, and
I would just like to emphasize their training.
Okay.
And Billy's wife did most of the training. You don't hold a kid like this. You hold it like this.
well, so
You
many
don't
of them
say
get-
this. You say this. And don't do this, but do that.
Well, so many, they had so many child abuse
Yeah.
charges. Not Billy didn't, but I meant there was in all the states. They'd come up somebody suing somebody for treating their little one wrong, and so that's what they tried to prevent.
Tried to
And
make sure none of that happened.
yeah,
So they trained theirs.
yeah. So they trained their Santas not to get that charge against them.
Like someone, like a Santa, if like say one of these was from Oklahoma, they would go to Colorado Springs
Yeah.
for training.
Yes.
And before they got
Yeah.
the blessing
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
out and do. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Did he keep working at the newspaper once he got this up and running?
He did there at Colorado, but
Okay.
I don't know about this. Now I think maybe he had already retired
Yeah. I think
before
Okay.
he just started doing
Yeah.
this. But he did work for several years and play Santa Claus.
Do you have any idea how Alma would have learned to some of these?
No, I
Thanks.
really
No.
don't.
I don't know, but I give her a lot of credit.
Yeah.
And then, she was strict with.
And
when
all of her Santas seemed to be familiar with her, and they all called her Mama Gooch. Yeah, that was her name, was Mama Gooch.
But she said, tell him, don't hold him like this, hold him like that. And I don't know.
And you listened to her. Huh?
Yeah.
She was talented on.
And she tried to tell them how to coordinate their. I remember one time on the phone, I heard her telling them how to not to go get something that clashed with their suit, but that not as important as the other.
Billy was a fantastic Santa Claus, and most all of them were. But Emily, she had her ways. It's got to be this way. You don't do this, and you don't do that, and you don't know this boy like that. And
I had read that he even performed at the White House, on the White House lawn.
Yes.
well,
He
it was 2 or 3 times, wasn't it?
He
Mark?
went 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. And I think they had checked with his company in Oklahoma City, which was Santa Plus's. I think it's all yours. They're not Dow John Santa Claus. Was Santa Plus. I don't remember anything else being on it except Santa Plus. I think their name was in Oklahoma City. And you could get a lot of information from them if you needed more. And but let's see, what was I telling? I forgot. That's my downfall is I lose my
No,
train
but
of
he must
thought.
have been really good in order to get
Yeah.
invited to the White
Yes, I
House.
think that the White House had heard about him, or somebody that hired for the White House, and contacted them, and so she contacted Billy, and I said, "Would you want to go to the White House to play Santa Claus?" And of course, Billy said, well, I'd be interested, And so she said what they want to do is they want to move in Abraham Lincoln's old log cabin house, an old log cabin where he lived at one time. It's a historical building that's still there, and that they will allow them to move it in the backyard of the White House. And they want a Santa Claus, and they want to interview you. And Billy said, well, I'm definitely interested. So you want me to tell the story?
I don't even know it.
Well, I just know the story told me. I never did get to go up there. But anyway, he went up, he went and interviewed with them, and they hired him. And I think they paid him the same, well, I don't know what they paid him. And he went up there to play. Well, he said that they had lots of security, Well, you can imagine how much they would have. And he said they put them in which all of the Santas would put, Santa Claus or whoever hired them would put them in a motel, and that would be paid separate from their salary. They paid that for them. Santas didn't have to pay it. And so Billy didn't have to pay his, but they had him a room in a big apartment, and it was several stories high. And Billy said that they had a security man down at the door all the time with a gun, was hooked onto him, I suppose, like all security does, maybe, I don't know. And they would have him on the ceiling, on the roofs of the building. And when he got to go play Santa Claus, well, they take him in an airplane with more security. And then they would support him, going from the plane to the cabin, the
White House.
The cabin, Abraham Lincoln's cabin. And they put it on sleds. He said they put, and I'm getting off what I was talking about, but anyway, they moved the sled, the log cabin to the backyard on sleds, and they made it permanent. So that they was going to leave it from now on, and they play Santa every year in that cabin. But I forget, I was stopped right in the middle of telling something else. But
they had him guarded.
They had him guarded all the time. And he played then the next 2 years, and the next year he said, it's not worth it. He said, it's just too much security and too much, don't do this. You can't do nothing without, being supported or escorted. Yeah, escorted.
Well, who would be the visitors to him?
Well, I guess they advertised it, and anybody there could come. But now this friend of mine, I talked to her today because she's real good friends of theirs, and she went out there. She said she was out there every year, and she was the one that brought these pictures to me. And she said that she was out there every year, and she said, I don't blame you for quitting. I wouldn't have went there. I said, well, did you ever get to go in and get your picture made and talk to him too? She said, no, that's too much security. They wouldn't let us get close.
Well, both of you, correct me if I'm wrong, but there would be crowds of people, wouldn't there?
Yeah, there was crowds of people. She said.
They actually, they were so natural. People thought that was really Santa Claus.
Well, the little ones would, yeah. They really.
Do you remember which president was in the?
Yes, Obama.
Mm-hmm.
You told me that.
I did.
Yeah, was you wrong?
I don't know. Do you think
that's right?
That's right, Obama. And I asked him. I said, "Did you ever see the president?" And I might be wrong, but I think I remember him telling me no. But
I thought he said yes.
Joe says that he said that his wife did. You told me.
Yeah. One of the president's wife.
Billy's wife got to see him.
Okay.
No, the president's wife went and said thank you.
Oh yeah, Miss Obama. She
Yeah.
brought her kids through, and so Billy got to see her and tell her who he was.
That's a
right.
good memory and good.
Yeah. But Billy's been dead. I guess
10 years.
7. John died in 17, And he died 3 years later. That would be 14. So yeah, I guess he's been dead 10 years. My husband died in 2017. So he's been dead 13 years. And Billy died 3 years later, so he would be dead, be 10 years, I believe. I don't know my arithmetic.
He died in 17. So Billy died in 2017.
Yeah, so that would be
That'd be
13 years.
No, that'd be about 7 years ago.
Okay. 7
John-
years?
Seven or 8, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
John passed away before Billy?
yeah, 3 years.
I don't remember that.
And I might even be wrong about him and 3 years later, but it was approximately that. And I had already moved into Prairie Point when Billy died. I remember them coming down there and telling me that my brother had died. And he got sick a couple of years before that and had kind of quit. And Emily wasn't in good health either. She quit helping Billy. Several years before Billy retired, she kind of gave out.
I know you kind of age out.
Yeah,
You can't be
yeah.
Santa
We
forever.
just kind of thought she wasn't interested, and that partly was, I'm sure, but
Well, since you mentioned John, your husband, let's talk a little bit about his experience as Santa.
well,
How did that come about?
Billy always wanted him to work for him to come. He wanted to hire him, and John would say, Billy said, "I start growing your beard in time. Don't wait till the last minute and think you're going to get a long, pretty beard." But so John would start right after New Year's, I think, and he'd wear it maybe a month or two, and he'd say, "I think I'd just feel better if I'd shave," and he'd go shave. And it was several years that would pass, and finally he just said, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." He was playing for the schools, and we just had phone calls all the time for somebody wanting him. He could work full time because he really liked it, and he made a good Santa Claus too.
He made a great Santa.
And
He was jolly. He was just and
He wasn't
spoke
timid.
loud, and he was just perfect.
yeah,
Her husband.
yeah, and so now then I'm crossing my train of thought again.
What kind of suit did he wear?
Well, he went to work for Santa Plus instead of Billy in Oklahoma City because they were in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And Billy was in Colorado, and they furnished his suit.
Oh, okay.
But I did have suits made. I had a couple of suits made at different times, not all at once. When he first started, when he was playing on his own, I had a woman to make them. And I made his shirts. I copied off of them. Well, Santa Plus did. They done that, and made his shirts, and we got his. Yeah, we done everything. Only he used the boots where Billy used those. What are those? I always said they were too expensive to buy. The sandals,
Oh yeah.
What's the name of them?
I don't know.
I don't know, but anyway, they were nice sandals, big sandals. They closed, they just buckled, had a big buckle on them like Santa's, kind of. And I think Mianna had on a pair. What you bought? I think you got some too. What are them sandals? You know what I'm talking about. They start with N, don't they? Or an M.
I can't think what
You can't think very good. But anyway, he wore those all the time. But John always wore the. I can't think what kind of boots they call them either, but what kind of boots John wore all the time.
They come
Anyway,
up,
they
come
were
up to his
cowboy.
calves.
Yeah,
At
they weren't
least.
cowboy boots, but they'd come up to his calves, and he wore those all the time.
So he had a red suit or a burgundy?
Yeah, it was just
Red.
like this. Yeah, it wasn't the red suit. Billy had some that was real bright, kind of the bright red, and he thought they were the prettiest, but he wasn't wearing one yet here, or his suit pants on. And
I think the most important thing to both John and Billy was for everything to be natural.
yeah, it was.
Not just their beard and their looks, but their personality. Be yourself, be kind and jolly.
I know.
Be jolly old Santa.
I know John, when he was playing, he played at the Promenade Mall for, I think, 15, 18 years at Tulsa. And they asked him, the one woman that come up and asked him, she said, "You really think you are Santa Claus, don't you?" And she asked me, she said, "I told Santa he really thinks he is." I said, "Well, you have to be a good one." You know, that you got to think, "I'm Santa," and play like you are. And that's what makes them good. If they'll play like they are Santa.
And behave like you are.
Yeah, and behave.
And I admire every one of them for having the patience to do it. I mean, think about it.
Did you not?
No, I've never played Santa. Well, I don't think I have.
I don't know if you have or not. I don't
I
remember.
don't think I have.
Well, you got the look.
Yeah, he's done that since he's been at Prairie Point. I think.
Yeah, and I think they've had me
Since he retired.
had little kids sit on my lap a few times.
Yeah.
Well, did you think about being Mrs. Claus?
Well,
She was.
I never would go ahead and be Mrs. Santa Claus, but I always tried to wear the shirts like his. Only they wouldn't necessarily be made like his, you know. But I'd got enough material that I could make me a shirt too, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to
And
say
so
something.
I would do that, and so they kind of knew who I was. But
Yes. So he was taken.
yeah.
The wives, both Billy's wife and Marion, deserve tons of credit. They dressed them. They said, "Do this, that, you know, that look, do that." They were a big help.
Like Santa Plus, they would call the beauty shops that was in the mall and ask them if they would volunteer to fix their hair. And so John went in every morning and got his hair curled, and it was kind of a natural hair, and his hair beard is so pretty. I'd like for you to go up and see it. And it's in the hall, a picture of him, big picture of him. And so
he got groomed professionally before he got in the seat.
and they, I guess all of them could have, if the mall done the same thing for him that they done for John. I don't know what their mall's done for them. But
And then the cost for that didn't come out of
No, it
John's
didn't
pocket.
come
That was
out.
part of it.
uh-huh.
When would his season start?
It would start a week before Thanksgiving. No, it would start Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
And go all the way up to the
Yeah, all the way
24th, I guess.
Yeah, uh-huh.
That was a long
Yeah,
6
long
weeks,
time.
I guess.
Yeah.
And would you have to have his suit cleaned?
Yes, the laundry would come and pick it up. They'd come through the mall, the laundry would, and they'd pick it up and they'd bring it back the next day or the next couple
And you
of days.
trusted them not to turn your fur pink?
It's not.
I would be worried about that because
Yeah.
red is hard on.
Yeah.
I don't know this, but I would think that the malls they did greatly appreciate it, and then the malls would go out to help you in any way,
Yeah,
didn't they?
yeah. Well, yeah, but the laundry was some laundry, but they'd come
Oh,
through.
yeah. Yeah.
They would be out picking up laundry, I guess, and they just go by there and pick up our laundry.
Who wouldn't want to help Santa Claus?
I'm sure there were some hateful parents
Oh, yeah.
along the way. Would he come home and tell you?
Yeah,
Tell you tales?
about some of them that were hateful, and sometimes they'd come in and tell me about the stinking ones. There was always some of them come in that needed to be changed, you know, and running down their leg or something, you know, and that would upset him.
Did he tell you any of the stories that were emotional ones?
Yes,
sad ones.
I did, and I couldn't exactly put a story to it. I know that.
Well, you don't have to. I just wondered
Yeah,
if he would
yeah,
share some of
yeah.
those because you'd almost
Yeah,
have to
he
tell
did.
someone
Yeah,
in order
he
to feel
did.
better too.
And I remember he said one time that it was either him or Billy, and I kind of think it was Billy, said that a kid got up in his lap and he said, you know, what do you want for Christmas? And he said, I want you to kill my brother. And do you remember who that was? And he didn't know whether to
What to
carry
say?
it on or, you know, kind of dismiss it, he said, you know. So I think he tried to dismiss it. but I don't think he was able to. I think the kid just kept bringing it up. And, so they do, and they do have a lot of kids that comes in and wants to tell them about something bad that happened,
Yeah.
And
It's
we
not,
had lots of them, but I don't remember 'em. He always kept them alive when he was alive, but now that he's gone,
well, how would he get in the spirit of Christmas every November then? How did he prep?
I,
Do you watch Christmas movies or
Yeah.
get sick of all of that? Or
yeah, I don't. I know I remember him asking in Stroud, one of the department stores, what are kids asking for? He said, I need to know what the kids are going to be asking for so that I can, be acquainted with what they're going to be asking, or I can ask them if that's what they want or something. And he always wanted to know what was the going thing.
what the hot toy was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
I'm sure those requests changed in the 14
Yeah,
or so
yeah.
years that he was.
I
Santa.
remember that. I can't remember either. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, he kept it was some
No.
toy that wasn't anything a kid ought to have, but
Yeah.
the toy was made with that name, and he wanted to know what that was. And he found out it was just a toy, and it wasn't. It was just a bad name, but it wasn't nothing bad. I can't remember what it was.
They
Something
get some
beer.
unusual requests.
Something beer,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Was there something toy beer or toy? So I don't remember.
So he was a Santa from when to when? When he started?
Let's see.
I have
Well,
1994. Is
my
that sound
husband
about right?
was in a real bad. He was a truck driver, and he got in a wreck, and up in St. Louis or close to St. Louis, wasn't it? And was disabled for the rest of his life. He took all the flesh off. Well, he hit another car going head on, and it killed the boy in the other car. But it broke the cab off of the truck, and he put his hands up like this, he thinks, to protect his head, and slid down the road. And it took all his flesh off of his arms, and he had no tendons to his fingers. And the first thing, the most important thing was that he about bled to death. They couldn't seem to give him enough blood for the heavy blood for a long time because they couldn't get him. And now let's see, where am I at? And so, but anyway, in the time to heal, we bought a farm or bought acreage here in Stroud where my mother lived, and he I don't know what I was going to say.
Raise cattle.
Well, no, he did that later, yeah, and started playing Santa. He was in therapy for a couple of years after we moved to the farm. And because he couldn't feed himself, he couldn't do anything. I fed him for several years, and then he bought some cattle. Yeah, and then somebody said, "Well, my mother's sister worked at the nursing home, and she said, why don't you play Santa Claus for us? We need somebody to play Santa Claus." Well, he did, and they just loved him, and he just loved them, and he played every year, and every nursing home around was wanting him, but they all wanted him the same night. It didn't last long enough.
That was in about 1970.
No,
Wow.
yeah, his accident was 1967 when he, and
And it would have been a fake beard,
yeah.
pillows.
Yeah, his was a fake beard. We
Yeah.
didn't know anything about a natural Santa then.
Yeah.
And I suppose there was, but
School, nursing homes.
yeah. Yeah, and he played at the school all the time.
Would he wear gloves then?
Yes, he
Yeah,
wore
gloves.
white gloves because his hands was all crippled.
Yeah.
And I remember one kid asking him, "Santa, what's the matter with your hands?" Because he had skin drafts and it was real big, and they'd take him out and they'd defat his arm. They'd call it. They'd pull it up, skin out, and make it because he was a real big man. And forgot again.
Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but they cut him here and opened his stomach up. put his arm,
They didn't actually.
lapped it over his,
Yeah,
his-
they just
his-
cut part of his stomach up into his stomach.
and let that
No,
grow,
no.
and then they cut it loose. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right, and he sewed it.
And he was like, "Oh, my stomach itches."
And it'd actually be his stomach flap, you know, a big flap there.
Well, I guess he could tell the kids, the reindeers, that
Yeah,
he'd
he
been
told him, he said
nibbling
that-
on him.
He said, my hands just got this way from holding reindeer reins. And,
He was good.
yeah,
He was really
You have
good.
to think on your feet.
He,
I wondered.
he had it answered that quick
Yeah.
for them kids.
Yeah.
Had he had much experience with little kids to
Not
to
really.
that point?
he was from a big family. It was 8 or 9 of the kids, so sisters, brothers and sisters.
So when he started being Santa, how old were your children? And when they had they passed the Santa stage?
Rodney was a baby.
So
When,
he
when he had his accident, first accident, or that accident.
so you might have had to explain
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
he's in Santa suit.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't all easy. It wasn't all one big party. But anyway, he enjoyed it, and he just couldn't wait till Christmas would come around so he could play Santa again.
Yeah, he enjoyed it. He was a jolly person.
Well,
He
it's-
said, "Oh, thing I wish I'd started earlier."
Mm.
He said, I just wish I'd. That was with Billy's. Now he done that several years, but he didn't grow his own beard for those first few years until the end. Then when he started working for Billy, he had to grow his own beard. Of course he was a natural Santa, so that was several years later. But he played for nursing homes and churches and schools all the time.
So did his beard come in white or was it?
Not at first. And he dyed the girls at the beauty shop said, we can dye your hair, we can bleach it out, but we don't have a lot of success with the beard. And so he thought his beard was, seemed like it was kind of black on one side, on each side or something. It wasn't completely white, but he went ahead that it was good enough that, he wore a beard over. At that time, he wore a fake beard. And so he, lost what am I thinking about?
Once it became natural, it was.
Yeah, and he played that way for several years.
How long would it take them to do the?
It took a long time, half a day, and his mother said she had some Indian in her, so he had a little Indian in him, and so they said that's the reason his beard was his hair was so hard to bleach out. They couldn't bleach it out. That's what I think. That's where I was at, and they had to. Let's see, what did they have to do? They just kept bleaching it, and it wasn't. And they said, we can't bleach it no more. You're just going to have to let us put some other dye on it or get you a beard or false hair in. Because he could wear hair. He wasn't like Billy was later. And so I don't know where I'm at.
But when the beauty shop would curl his hair, how long would he have to sit in her chair before he performed?
It was curly. His hair was curly.
Already.
Pretty curly. Yeah.
So it didn't take a lot of effort.
But it took a long time to get it back. Oh, I know what I was going to do. It broke off. His hair just broke off real bad because they had bleached it so many times that it started bleaching off. And so they put false hair in it. And they'd sew it and glue it and it was real ugly when he'd take his cap off because you could see where they bleached it, and it wasn't like a woman going in and getting a false beard or hair.
Yeah.
But he was always so scared that some of the kids was going to pull it off and see his
Yep.
hair
Yeah.
because so many people would talk about the one down at the other mall, not the Promenade, but the other one down Woodland Hills. They had a Santa Claus down there that had a braid, and they'd pull it. The kids found out about it, and they'd all try to pull his beard off to get that fake beard braid to fall down his back. And
I would say
they usually just got paid by the whatever the minimum wage was, you know.
Oh, I wondered how
Yeah.
much they would
Yeah,
get paid.
that's what
yeah.
that's
Back
what
then, now I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's-
don't know either. They
it
had to
probably
do
would be
better
more.
maybe after.
The
Would you-
most important thing each one of these Santas had was a Mrs. Santa that did all the work, and then they went and did all the fun. That's the truth.
Well, I think.
The wives worked just as hard as
You know,
they did.
I went with John. We
Would for
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
when he went when he did the promenade.
Yeah, I was always with him. I was always went with him.
Start to finish.
Yeah. Of course, he couldn't do a lot for himself. He still had trouble doing a lot of different things.
Well, would you work with the kids in the line to find out a little bit before they got up
I
there?
did some, yeah.
Is that to
I
help
did.
him
I
out?
never did take their pictures. I may have had to till another one got there or something, but I never was scheduled on the camera. I said I don't want to take the pictures, but I'd stand in line and help them, you know, behave or whatever, and help them up at the cash register.
Yeah.
I did the cash
Did you get
register.
paid for your part?
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
that's good.
scheduled. Yeah, when I was scheduled, I did. But of course, I done a lot of volunteering when nobody showed up and they didn't have nobody that I wasn't on the payroll. But
Well, at the
Yeah.
end of the season, how would you all relax and just come down from all of that?
well, part of the time my daughter lived in Tulsa, and we'd go there for Christmas, and it'd just kind of be us and maybe a kid or two, one or two of them, and she'd always fix dinner for us because we'd be too tired.
Yeah.
But then,
There was always a big demand on Christmas Eve for them to go to somebody's house.
yeah.
They get them off the side. You come, we'll give you a couple $100.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of them wanted him to come to their house on Christmas Eve.
I'd be tempted for that
Yeah,
kind
on
of
Christmas Day, yeah.
extra funds.
And the mall, some of them, I know a few times he played Santa like at Dillard's. And they said they called and how much would Santa, they had open house, I think they called it, or something like that, you know. We're having open house and we're having a big deal, you know, and we need Santa to be there, you know. How much would he cost? I said, well, how much would you pay him? And so they'd finally come up with something. I know that one time they said, well, I think they told us they'd pay us quite a little bit, like, I don't remember, 500 or 1,000, I can't remember. But you got to take it out in merchandise. And I said, well, okay, that's okay too. As long as they get that much, we'll take it out in merchandise. As long as you don't put a limit on it, you know.
Mrs. Claus can handle
yeah,
that. Huh?
yeah. So I've got a lot of things now. I got a quilt on my bed, a blanket, satin blanket that I got.
So
That's where it's from.
if he was working through a company, they would not negotiate
No.
that for them?
No,
They-
we could
they
do that
could do
on the
that?
side. We'd do that after the mall closed. They would have this opening at night, and they'd stay open till 10 o'clock or midnight or something, I can't remember. And that's when they would do it. And the different stores would be pushing their stuff, like they're selling coats. Well, they'd be somebody, you know, wanting us to look at the coats or wanting the customers to. And
Well,
they want Santa there.
for the mall job, was there a contract then?
Yes,
They
it
had
was
to do
the
that.
contract. The Santa Plus would make up the mall, the contract, and they would negotiate through Santa and through the mall, I guess, you know, to see Santa. And they'd tell Santa how much they would pay, and he either said, I will or I won't, you know. And the few years, I remember that I would call the mall, or John would, one of us would call and ask if they wanted him again this year. You know, I'm getting ready to find a place to play Santa. And they'd say, oh, yes, we want you. Said, our mall made so much more. I said, don't you dare sign another contract till you talk to us. And we'd go over there and shop at Promenade. And they'd always say, don't you sign a contract. You come back here. We've done a lot better again this year. And they would do better because they had to shop anyway. And so they would go where there's a good Santa Claus to take their kid's picture, you know.
Didn't have to have an appointment. You just
No,
stood in a
yeah,
line.
He stood in line, and on the end, several years before he retired, but it got to where we'd have well, I don't know if you knew where Santa stood there at Promenade, but anyway, at that south door, I guess it was, and they'd come in and there'd be a line clear out the door, you know, and they would you go down to the other place. They'd say they didn't even know there's Santa Claus there.
A lot of them come year after year after
Yeah.
year.
Oh, yeah. They
Want the
up
same
there on the
books.
last few years, they'd bring their books, their photo books, and they'd have Santa. You know, like 10 years. They'd show all my pictures. They'd bring them back because they wanted it made with that. We want it made with that Santa Claus, and then I think 2 different years he had them made with triplets, and that we thought that was big, you know, because he had such a hard time getting all 3 of them. And I think what the mother kind of squatted down behind and held her. She didn't. She wanted them without anybody helping them, but Santa was just afraid. You know, his hands wasn't real good anyway, and so we finally got that. And then he had twin ladies that was in their 90s come in and had them made. And I can't remember. It seemed like it was something else.
So not just all kids.
Yeah, no,
Some
there
older
was a lot of
adults.
adults, and there was some even families, you know, and they'd come back year after year, some of them. And then the big surprise was one time we had someone to come in, and they were Lytles, and I don't think they was kin to us, or maybe they found it out. They lived in Sapulpa, and they saw his picture in the paper where some was advertising, and Santa was in the advertisement, and they had his name down there, John Lytle, and their name. So they come over to the mall to see who it was, and they said, I know John just couldn't believe their name was Lytle.
Would he put on his suit before he left the house
No, we'd put it on.
when he got there?
Yeah, I'd have to help him.
So I just wondered if he had any incidents in transport, you know, when you're driving down the road
Yeah.
past Santa.
No, I was driving him home one night, and I can't remember where we were, but it was in Tulsa, and light come on, and John said, "Look at your speed," and I was speeding, and I got the light on, and I had to pull over and stop, and he said, "I guess you know you were speeding." I said, "Yes, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?" And I said, "I've got Santa," and I guess I was just in a hurry because got Santa over here taking him home and bringing him home or something. And she said, or he said, "Oh, okay, that's all right. Just go on, Miss Santa, and deliver him home." So I didn't get a ticket. But I guess I was going pretty fast.
It's a good part of your life, sounds like. The Santa world has
Yeah.
been great.
They also
And
had like a woodworking shop where they made lots of Santa Claus, Christmas.
Yeah.
He did a lot of woodwork.
Your dad or Billy?
Dad.
Dad.
Yeah, after he come home, you know, he didn't have much that he could do without using your hands. And but then we started woodwork, and I don't know why, but he thought he could use a saw. You know, he started using a straight saw. That was after he'd had therapy for 3 years, or maybe longer than that, because he was already playing Santa Claus. And he would cut out things, and I would paint them, and we'd sell yards. Yeah. And
I think next door they still have one.
yeah, they do.
The Santa Claus. Or
Yeah, they have
something
one over here at
yard
the
during Christmas.
nursing home. My mother was in the nursing home at the time, and I sold them about everything he made, you know. And one of them was Uncle Sam, you know. And it's sat out there on the front porch for several years, but I don't see it anymore. But it was Uncle Sam, and then we made Santa, and he was it was out of a sheep rock,
That's
or
what they still have.
not sheetrock, but yeah, sheetrock, I guess what you call it. It's that big.
Plywood, maybe.
Yeah, and had a big thing on the back of it to pry it up, stand it up, and then he got to making those in the air, the reindeers running off, and we enjoyed doing that.
So it's Christmas
I was-
all year round.
Yeah, I was
All year
always
round.
afraid it cut his hand, though, but he never did. But he always made something big, something pretty big that he could call circular. They call them circular saws or something.
Yeah, he had all kinds of power saws.
Yeah, he had several before it was over. Yeah.
So playing Santa kind of paid for itself, though. 'Cause
Yeah.
You'd have to, or no, the company bought his suit.
Yeah,
He didn't have to buy
We
it.
didn't have any expenses with Santa because they paid for our room, and they paid for our eats, and most of them, I think, there might have been a time or two that they didn't. But we
Well-
always paid. We only paid for the one company that was Santa Claus.
When you had his suit made, though, was that locally?
Yeah, I done it here. Yeah, that's here in Stroud. I done it like when he was playing at the schools. We didn't have a suit, so he had to. Nobody furnished one, so we had to buy it. And the first time or two that he played Santa, they would, like the hospital or the nursing home, they'd have one, and we could use it. But then after we seen that he was going to branch out, well, we had him one made. And
And I had read that you or your wife, one niece, did a series of books.
I don't know.
The Julie, I think was her name. Julie
Judy.
Britton.
Oh,
Children's books.
yeah.
oh yeah, that was Judy.
I always believe in the magic.
Yeah.
Must
Yeah.
be something in the.
Yeah.
Who is that? It's one of Judy's.
Yeah, Judy done her niece
I guess it
wrote the
was.
book, and then you all had them published.
Yeah, and they knew
Yeah,
we'd go around signing them or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I can't
But,
remember.
but they had to do with Christmas too, though, or
Uh,
when I was it was the virtues. I always believe in the magic.
Yeah. So that was sort of the other side of the family, and I didn't
Yeah,
know all that
that's
connection.
right. And it was
I
children,
know-
was-
children's.
Yeah, but I
series.
do remember them doing it, and we bought one of them from y'all.
That was Judy that started.
Yeah,
did
Judy
that.
started, helped, but she didn't write the book, so
No.
her niece wrote the
Oh
book.
no, I don't know. I can't remember all that.
That's okay. That was just a tangent that I was.
Yeah.
You find all sorts of things when
Yeah.
you're looking on the
Oh,
web.
right, yeah,
So that's fine.
yeah,
Something about believing the magic.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Billy's
Oh, that's
motto
what that
was. Or,
says.
yeah, that's what Emily had some pins made up.
Well, it must have took off from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Is he buried in Colorado?
No, he's dead.
No, but Billy is he buried?
Billy,
Yeah. Is he,
he's the one that played Santa Claus and
Yes.
died.
yeah, but where is he buried?
Oh, buried. I thought you said married.
No, buried
He's,
by Tennessee accent.
that was what I was going to tell you. Mark knows more about that because my mother was in the nursing home, and so was Virginia or Billy. And he got real bad sick, and none of us could go because we always had too much. And so Mark, I guess Joe was going to go out there and
I
see
don't
him.
think I
And
went out there last time. Good enough for that.
anyway, he went ahead and died, and we wasn't able to go to his funeral
I didn't have it,
because I couldn't leave my mother. She was so bad, and so then when he did die, and then Mark went to his funeral. He was the only one that was able to go.
Memorial
And-
service.
Memorial
Yeah, we
service,
didn't
yeah,
call
was
it a
there.
funeral.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
cremated, had his ashes spread out across the side of the mountain. Same place where they did the same thing with his son. They
Okay.
died years earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
I just wondered if he had a headstone and if he had a Santa.
yeah.
On
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, that would have been something.
I love my brother, and he was a fantastic Santa. And no buts, but his wife was so creative about everything he did. You do this, you hold this kid this way, you do that, you say this. And she gave him a lot of instructions. And he was very good about it. And so was John.
But
They were just,
first thing Joe said whenever he found out what you wanted to do, he said, one thing I want to say is I want them to know that Alma Lee was behind him and that she was the kind of like the creator. And, you know,
She probably kept the books too.
I'm not
didn't
trying
she?
to take up for Emily, but that's the truth.
yeah.
She
was-
told him, "You don't do this, you don't do that, you
Yeah.
don't do this." And
Well, it's a
No.
partnership,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
In a
But you
sense.
don't have that. But she was good.
There
But
are
she-
folks like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
she was very creative with this.
And it was a business, though.
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
saying earlier
yeah.
that it was a
It was a business.
business, and they created it in order to
Uh-huh.
have more wholesome. Is that the right word to use for Santa?
Yeah, that'd be a good word.
For
Yeah.
Santas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was realistic, wholesome.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they have to have. I've learned that they have to have insurance or liability checks or background checks.
I think
Right,
they-
yeah, we had
Billy's-
John had to go to the police station and get.
Yeah, in order to get hired, you had a series of, like, in order to get into Natural Santa, you had to be a background check. And the same way with Dad when he
Yeah,
went to work for
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
They'd have to do it every year or just once.
they had to do it every year.
Every year.
Uh-huh. But I think they just kind of copied them sometimes. But yeah, I think you had to have one for every contract. You know.
And when it was off season, would Billy and John shave their beard?
John, I don't think he ever completely shaved. He just shaved it down to, like a lot of them do with a little beard, a little stuff on their face, just needing to shave. And
I'm just thinking, if you walk through Walmart today, a lot of kids would be saying,
uh-huh,
"There goes
uh-huh.
Santa,"
Well,
especially with a red shirt on.
maybe once or twice I've gotten a look. Mom. But maybe only once or twice out of it. There's not a lot.
I guess if you had the hat on, maybe it would
Yeah,
be more.
maybe
Would be
so.
more.
But yeah, just the beard itself gets looks.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and so you have to behave whether you're
Yeah.
in Santa mode or not.
Mhm.
So you
And-
do it all over again.
Oh yeah, and I know my husband would, because I remember him saying several times, "I just wish I'd started this earlier," because when it come time to retire, he got sugar diabetes real bad, and it made him have to go to the bathroom real often, and it wouldn't feel good too, and
Would he
He
practice it?
retired.
Would he practice his ho ho ho?
yeah, oh yeah, and people like that if the customers had come by the suit and they'd say, "Santa, do your ho ho ho," and he'd holler, and they could almost hear him all through the hall. He'd have real loud.
Echo through the mall. You can hear it everywhere.
And then a whole bunch he'd do that ho ho, then here everybody'd come,
He was a-
Echo.
He was an excellent Santa, not just looks, but his actions.
Could he sing, carry a tune?
Not really. He always said, "I wish I could. I wish I could."
Did he have a favorite Christmas song though?
No, I
No,
don't think
not
so.
either.
I don't.
Or a Christmas movie?
No, I don't think so.
If he had a question about if he had run into an issue being Santa, would he call Billy for advice, or would he need to call the other place?
I think he kind of felt like he knew it all.
Well,
Well, he
there is
felt like
that
he
too.
could handle it.
Yeah.
He felt like he could handle it anyway.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he did.
And he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would he? I know you have to worry about all the germs and stuff
Yeah.
going around
Yeah.
during that time. Did
Yeah.
he do anything
Yeah.
extra? For
Yeah,
that?
he did. He would lose his voice completely, nearly, and so by the end of the day, just almost completely gone. And so we'd go to these 48-hour places or 24 hours or 24, 24, not 48. and and they'd say, well, I don't know if anything I can do for you, but we'll try, and they'd give him something, and so sure enough, he could talk the next day, but he would be real hoarse. But it was just nothing they could give you. You lose your voice, but he never did miss a day. But he was really sick a lot of days, and he was just too.
I can't imagine bouncing 50, 60 kids on
Yeah,
my knee
coming in with
one day.
yeah,
7 days a week.
7 days
days a week.
yeah.
for
Now
six
Sundays
for
were shorter
six,
hours.
for about 6 weeks, roughly 6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
Wow.
And
Decent money for that
Yeah.
length of time and that
Yeah.
level of work.
I was thinking of something else now that I forgot what it was.
How would they, if the line was still going when the mall was supposed to
Yeah.
close,
I'd have to go back.
you would have
About an
to?
hour. I'd have to judge. It's going to take an hour and go back and
Cut it off.
Yeah, give them a sign to hold.
They got
And-
pretty good at it, so you have to stay after the mall closed.
It'd be kind of, I can
Yeah.
imagine some parents getting irritated
Yeah,
if they,
and some of them would go steal it, and get that one and take it way back there. So that'd make them all the way back there. And so I'd have to remember who I give it to. So I knew that wasn't happening because it happened a few times.
Mm.
And it just wasn't, I said, it's not fair for those, they're getting cut off and you're not.
yeah, it seems like malls have changed a lot in the last
Oh, I bet they have.
5 or 6 years. I don't know.
It's been a long time since we played, I think.
Yeah, I think now you may even need an appointment.
I wouldn't be
don't know.
surprised.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I have to say about it, it was rewarding, but it was a big job
Mhm.
to sit there and go through that many kids with runny noses, sneezing on you. Yeah, it was a job. It was work.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't do it, but I know I can appreciate
Well,
what they
did you think about doing it?
No,
Not even
no,
pondered it for a minute.
no. I don't think I've ever had a Santa suit on.
Well, do you still have one of John's suits?
No,
No.
I don't have no more. Whenever you start having to live somewhere besides home, your home, you have to start getting to this.
Start weeding, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like now I don't even have a picture of Billy because my kids were coming home for Christmas, some of them, and I was getting all their stuff so that I could send it home. Just that much I could get rid of, and that they wouldn't have to fool with when something happens to me.
Yeah.
And first thing, oh no, I started to say it was you, but it was Billy. First thing Billy said, "Don't send that trash home with me." He said, Emily's mother died. His wife's mother, wasn't Emily, it's Abby. Mother died and 2 years ago, and she still got that stuff in the extra room in there. And he said it's falling out, and I can't get anywhere or anything done for all that stuff.
That's just what we do, though.
He said
isn't
she
it?
won't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then she did tell me, she said the hardest thing, and I haven't got rid of it, was her prosthetic. She had a leg that was missing, and she had to have a half a leg. And Emily told me, I didn't add it later. She said, I just cannot get rid of it. I said, probably the thing you should have done was just left it on her. I believe. But I won't have to think about that because.
Well, it takes a special person with a certain personality
Yeah.
It does
to
a
be
big
able
heart.
to do what he did.
I've learned you got to think on your feet. You got to have a tender heart, or you
Yeah.
just or you can't.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
can't do it.
I-
And
I
keeping
would-
that
It's
smile
almost
going all
show
day.
business.
John
It's
loved
almost show business.
It is almost show business. Yeah.
Well, whenever we got a new a set, seat and everything, and it was like a movie thing. I can't remember what star it reckoned. But anyway, what was I going to tell?
So each year it'd be a different chair,
Yeah. Well,
or
they sent the Chinese, the little kids, Chinese, they came with them and dressed up like, who do we have up there on the shelf? And I give it to me, Anna, to take home with her. That characters. they give that to, they made a thing out, huh?
What shell?
Up there in the corner of our room. We had it up, sitting up there high there, them fake little things to play with. They give them to customers if you bought $150 or $200 or something. They give them these two little, was it the cats? Well, she took them home with her here a couple of weeks ago. And you know who I'm talking about, more? Joe?
No.
Figurines.
Wasn't
of some
Jack and
kind.
Jill, but something like that,
The only thing I can think of is that song.
And they made us, we were on the bottom floor there at the promenade, and they made us move up high because there was a union in the Hollywood movie stars or whatever, and they can't be around any other character that's not alive or something.
Okay.
So we couldn't be around them. So we had to move, or they'd lose their whatever was contract that they were in. But they were little Chinese people, and they dressed like the character. And they still have that set in the mall, or they did a couple of years ago. Last time I was there. But I thought that was so funny that we had to move and let them have that floor down there because we was too close to them.
Would you have an up close parking place?
No,
Just
no,
designated
we
for
did
you
have
guys?
a sign made that said Santa stops here or Santa. Anyway, it was kind of funny.
Well, I got a question for you. Did you ever have any kids say, "Mom, I saw Mama, Dad kissing Santa
No,
Claus"?
I don't guess.
I saw Mama kissing Santa Claus.
No, I never did.
Isn't that a song?
Yeah.
I saw Mama kissing
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you think of anything else you want to share with us about either John's experience or even about Billy's?
Seemed like I had something a while ago I wanted to tell that happened with John that was so unique, but
Well, did he dress as Santa when the kids were young?
Yes.
I remember.
But
did they know?
Well, our kids that lived in Seymour, Tennessee, they come at Christmas time, and so they come over one evening they stayed at our house when we was still in Tulsa, but they come over to bring them over to tell Santa what they wanted, and Jacob must have been, well, I keep thinking you're John. I keep thinking they wanted Jacob to tell him what he wanted for Christmas. Well, they got in line, and I told him, I said, quit hollering at him and tell him that Grandpa, because I said, they think you're Santa Claus, and they knew better, even though they was, the littlest one I don't think was in school yet, but the oldest one was, and they stayed in line, and they was hollering, wave at Grandpa or do something, and so I told him to quit doing that because I didn't want the rest of them to know it wasn't real Santa, and so when they got around there, Jacob, the little one, got his picture made, and then he went back to the camera lady after she had paid for the pictures, and he said, you might think that's Santa Claus, but that was my grandpa. Remember that? He said, that's my grandpa.
Well,
I just had to tell somebody.
I respected so much about both of them and every Santa Claus is the sad things. Like the little kids can be, I want my daddy back for Christmas. What do you want for Christmas? I want my daddy back. Or I want, it's a sad story. And they've got to cope with it and listen to it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy for them.
No. And
Yeah. Do you know how John would respond to that?
He was always, you could tell he was sad about it, but he made the best of it. But I know this one little kid, his grandpa and grandma had him because his daddy had died, and his mama had went someplace to look for a job, or I can't remember what the reason, but she was gone, and they were going to keep him for about a month because she was doing something, and he was just crying, I want my daddy, I want my daddy.
Yeah.
And his daddy was dead. And it had been a little while. It wasn't just like they'd already had his funeral and everything, you know. But I don't know how long it was, but it'd been a while. Well, I thought it looked like he could have got over it a little while. You know, but he was just real unhappy. And they said this had to take him home the day or two before that because he was just wanting to go. So but then they had to come back because they had things at their house that they had to take care of. And I remember John and all of us feeling sad about that. But one time I remember this one little boy came through and John asked him what he wanted for Christmas, and he said, I want my daddy back home. No. Yeah, I don't even know. I can't remember why. And they said, John said, well, why do you want your daddy back? Or what's he doing? He said, because he beat up on me, and that's the reason I'm crippled. And he was in a straining order, or not straining order, I mean, he had something on his legs, he couldn't walk, you know, he had help walk.
The brace.
Brace. And he was just sick, you know, over his daddy not being there, and he acted like he made us think he really wanted his daddy back, and I think he did. But yet he knew his daddy had caused him to be the way he was. And
it's hard to
and his daddy was in prison. His daddy they had him in prison because he had beat up his boy. And then several years later, he came back, and he came back through the mall, and they said, do you know who this little boy is? And of course, we didn't know who he was because it'd been 4 or 5 years, I think. And they told us who he was, and he was just happy as he could be because he could walk and get around, and his daddy wasn't mentioned. We didn't say anything about it. He didn't either. But his mother told us who he was, you know.
About all Santa can do is say, I make toys. I can't help too much.
Well, I would say that those Santas have to listen to several sad stories.
Yeah, I remember.
They need a vacation at the end of the
Yeah.
season, don't
He
they?
was very empathetic, and he always knew what to say.
Do what?
He was very empathetic.
Yeah.
And he always knew what to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John always knew what to say.
He just
Yeah.
knew what to say.
They learn to, you know, how to handle it.
Yeah, I guess they could learn from each other too if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get
That's
together
the
on
hard
a
part of the
occasion.
training was that.
How to handle some of those difficult situations.
The stories that they told each other how to
Yeah.
handle all of them.
Yeah. You didn't want to really hear some of the stories.
Do you know if Billy enjoyed being Santa?
Yes, I think he did. I don't know if he enjoyed it or if he just joined. They traveled after he played Santa Claus, and I didn't tell you one thing. After he had played quite a little while, one of the malls, I think it's in Minnesota, is that what it was? I had just built their big 2 malls, twin malls. Where is that?
Mall of
Twin?
America.
Mall of America, yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
And let's see now, how was I going to tell it?
Did he get to perform there?
Yeah, they called him. They called the second year. I don't know if he may have even had them to check for him. I don't know, but Santa Claus, he's going through them, and Santa Claus said that you got an interview. Well, he called and they hired him, and he played that year. Well, then the next year, the other mall called him, and we want you for Santa. And Billy said, well, I've already talked to the other mall. I haven't signed the contract, but I have played already for them. And they said, well, would you give me a few days and I'll call you back? And Billy said, yes. So they called him back in a few days and they said, would you agree to a bidding? We'll bid on you. And so I don't remember what I got and don't know and don't remember. But anyway, he could go anywhere he wanted to after that.
Well, he definitely had the look and the behavior to go along with it.
And they sold a lot of Christmas too that mall had, I'm sure. Or they knew he was worth the money.
Get in his RV and go.
Yeah.
However
So
he traveled.
then Emily would get whatever she wanted, she could get travel.
That seemed like a good partnership.
Yeah, it was. And they just died within a couple years of one another, I believe. Maybe a little longer than that, but not much.
But they had both already stepped
But-
away from
yeah.
being Santa at
Yes,
that
yes.
point.
Yes.
Had made that tough decision to stop.
And so anyway, I don't think of anything else.
All
I know
right.
there's lots of things.
Lots of things. How do you think Billy and John would like to be remembered?
As Santa.
Yeah,
As Santa.
As a
Both of
Santa,
them
as
as
a-
Santa.
as a natural Santa too. As a natural Santa.
You gotta get that natural
Yeah,
in there.
gotta
Don't
get-
we?
yeah.
No yuck hair.
Yeah, no.
As Santa and as a jolly person.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
both were.
I know a while ago, when the first year or two that he played, you're not very busy 6 weeks before it starts. You're standing there and everybody goes past you. It's not thinking about Santa yet. And but finally, this one little boy, the mother was going to make up with Santa, and Santa, he wouldn't. He just kept bawling and crying and didn't want to have anything to do with Santa. Well, Santa gets down clearing the floor and just rolls around. That's how much he wanted the kids to like him. But the first day he played Santa Claus, the picture come out the next day. And this little boy sitting on Santa's lap, and he's just bawling and disappointed that John so bad. He wanted the boy to be happy, Here John said, that won't do anything for me, But it's hard for a lot of them will cry,
Yes.
Yeah. Kids are not all happy to get on Santa's lap, and Santa can't make them all happy. They'll just kick him and squall and holler and do everything, try to get away from him. Some of them, they're just scared to death of him sometimes. And I think it's partly because I'm going to tell Santa, or, Santa will bring you this or that,
The naughty list part.
Yeah, that might be part of it. But
Yeah, I don't like
and I
that
still
part.
got that picture. Well, I've got all of them there, I might say. And the page is full page, or full half page.
Newspaper.
Yeah. It's that kid bawling and John looking at him.
Yeah, some things just stand out in your memory, don't they?
Yeah. But, it's been a lot easier than I expected. I thought we'd be sitting here trying to think of something,
No,
and she helped you.
you-
really know how to bring it out.
You've done good. Well, I usually end by asking, how do you want to be remembered?
Well,
You yourself, not
yeah,
them, but
yeah.
how do you want to be remembered, Marion and Joe? How would you like people to remember you?
as John's wife and Santa Claus's wife, I guess. And you don't have a Santa's wife, do you?
I don't know.
How do you want to be remembered, Joe?
I want to be remembered as a person that helped other people.
Okay.
It's the best if I know how to say it.
We could say jolly old soul.
Say what?
Jolly old soul.
Yeah, Johnny
Yeah.
also. He does real good at the mall and trying to be funny, and everybody thinks he's just the funniest person that ever was,
Yeah.
You. I think, yeah.
I'm never funny.
He's always got something funny to say, and they think that's so remarkable about the way, he's conditioned and all, and then he's funny.
I guess you could call that a smart aleck.
Well, it might be, but it comes right down to it.
He's the storyteller here.
Yeah.
He's the reader. He gets something to do.
Well,
He does all the reading.
I actually printed a magazine.
Yeah. The corridor.
Yeah, I published a magazine. My wife and I published a magazine for several years, but I called myself just an old storyteller.
Well, do they get you to read the night before Christmas here?
Yeah, they have me read things to the kids here sometimes.
Yeah, I would think.
And I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Not just to the kids, you do it to
residents.
There's no kids here.
Well, a lot of people tell you the same thing. There's no difference between little kids and old people.
And we're all old.
Serious.
So we don't have a heart.
The
Why-
ones
why do you think that is?
The ones in between are different. Well, I don't know. For some reason, the things you liked when you was a little kid, you end up liking them when you get old.
Okay.
Maybe you're mellow here and you're mellow there. I don't know.
No, could be.
We have to figure that out, don't we?
And if I look back at my life, I would have to say I enjoyed my childhood and my elderly life better than I did in between.
So when did you retire? How old were you when you retired?
I don't know,
In your 60s.
2 or 3 years ago.
You've been, well,
Were you 65?
Yeah, probably.
Like most of us.
Like,
yeah,
You had your magazine up until 3 or 4 years ago, didn't you?
yeah. Well, up until him.
So you didn't
So
retire
you-
until
I
then.
don't know how long it's been since my wife passed away, but when she passed away, I kind of quit publishing
Okay.
things and doing things, and people would come to me about my field was printing, not
doing the magazine.
writing, but they would come to me and ask me about how would I get this printed or something, you know. My background is called lithography. It's a form of printing.
Mhm.
But I enjoyed writing too.
When you started publishing the corridor, then you
Yeah.
started writing.
My wife and I did that.
Yeah, you did.
Short story type
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
articles,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, I said, what was my?
And brought up
Oh,
what
I've
you
got
had already wrote.
another magazine that my son in Texas is supposed to be getting some more printed. Called, I can't think of the name of it. I call myself just an old storyteller.
Yeah.
What's the name of the book?
I don't remember. The one you published was Corridor.
No, yeah, I know, but there's
What you put in the Corridor book, I
well,
don't remember.
there's another one I did. Just it kind of put all my old stories into one
Yeah,
magazine
Okay.
and called it something. I can't remember.
All right, that's fine.
Oh, I should know what it's called.
You'll think of it at midnight tonight. That's what I think of mine.
We have a lot of people comes in and they usually always stay a long time, but sometimes they don't. They stay a short period of time. But this one guy that came in and him and Joe just fell for one another. His name was Tom Crow, and he died just a few months ago, or a month ago, I guess.
Yeah.
And we had a memorial for him the other day, and Joe done nearly all the reading and all the thing. They had a pastor there though, but anyway,
Some of the things I've written.
he wrote a lot of things about Tom, and Tom had wrote a lot of things about him, and he was a good writer too. And
The book I published. Well, the magazine my wife and I did was called The Corridor, but I did one separate that's quite a few pages. It's called Bedtime Stories.
yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
And my son in Texas is supposed to be getting some more printed because I've had so many
people want them,
people wanting it
Is it bedtime stories for
Yeah.
children or for
for children.
or this older age?
Most of them are comical.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. Does that make sense?
But most of them are based on true stories too.
Yeah, they're based on true
Are they
stories.
the ones that you published in the corridor? Are they the ones that you put in the corridor, or are they new ones?
Some of them, a few of them were pulled
Just-
from the magazine.
Ah,
Maybe 10 out of 20 was pulled from the magazine.
and others you've written since.
The others I've written.
So you had to get used to computers then.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
not using a typewriter to write.
No, I was using a computer. And thank goodness, because you can go back and change it and correct it
Yes.
and not have to retype it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the greatest thing that ever happened.
I agree.
Yeah.
One of the great, yeah.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. It's been great.
Yes, it has. I
You
hope.
have been really good.
Well, I'm glad we were helpful.
Hope we didn't keep you too long.
Oh, no. I appreciate you
And I-
spending the afternoon with me.
Now,